usually it's kind of, we're getting close to the last gasp. I mean, that's probably true. So I mean, any time, right? I mean, there's definitely cracks and fissures everywhere. Think of the United States like if you think of it like a business, even though the U.S. is supposed to be a country, it's supposed to be a people, it's supposed to be, it's not an economic, zone. It's supposed to be people, right? Well, if we take that aside and we just think of the U.S. as a business, right? Even though it's not, but let's think of it like that for just a moment. And the U.S. is a business that is insolvent. It is a gigantic mega corporation that is completely insolvent. It has no way to pay any of its debts, and definitely no way to cover any of its unfunded liabilities. Not by half, not even by probably a tenth at this point. So probably not even by a 20th at this point, actually. I mean, it's getting that bad. So since there is no way to do any of this, and since GDP, of the U.S., 50 to 70% of it, I think it's closer to 70%, is just scam. It's just people refinancing and borrowing and making it look like there's more money out there than there really actually is. It's just borrow and refinance, borrow and refinance, borrow and refinance. I mean, like, that's all that's going on. So think of it like a big company like that, but it's a really cool brand name that everybody knows, right? Like, so I mean, like, just think of whatever like huge brand name, I'm not going to say any because I don't know, but I mean, like, think of any gigantic mega brand name that's been around for a long time, right? Any of those big brand names. So it's a name, and it's been trading on a name for a long time, and there's no fundamentals to support any of it. It's just trading on its name and former reputation. That's the US. Now, there are other countries and continents out there that actually have a lot more wealth in terms of minerals. I mean, I think Africa, the continent of Africa, is like swimming in resources of every kind. Why isn't it a tropical paradise? It should be. I mean, there's resources everywhere. Greenland, so for example, this posturing about Greenland and Canada and stuff, like, again, these countries have a lot of resources, but they don't have the name. They don't have the branding, right? So Trump, being who he is attempting, this is just my outside observer. Please don't take this as gospel. This is just me as an outside observer watching this. He is attempting to trade on the brand name of the blue passport, okay, of the U.S. He's trading on this brand name because the people that exist now in the U.S. are lesser sons of greater sires. There is no other way to say that, and there's no nice way of putting that. We sent all of our really good guys, over to other countries to fight other countries' wars that they started, right? Wars that they created. And so, yeah, we are now bearing the brunt of this, right? I mean, this is just reality, okay? So this idea is that, well, okay, we're gonna try and merge with other more profitable enterprises that don't have the big name, but we have the big name, and so we can make this synergy happen. This is an illusion, and I have covered this on many occasions in the past. I'm talking to kind of everybody with this. I'm answering this question, but I mean, like, I'm talking to everybody. 93 countries, I think it's probably closer to 95 now, are in demographic decline. That is, in other words, it is an attempt to regress to the mean, because people are able to live longer and healthier lives overall. Overall, I'm not talking about the state of food in America. Overall, people are living longer and overall, in general, healthier lives. And this is not due to modern medicine. This is due to plumbing and electricity. Those are the two things that are actually having people live much healthier lives. That and just decent dental hygiene, right? I mean, like, there's just a number of different factors that are at play here. So people are having fewer and fewer kids. What is an economy? An economy is just people. If you want to expand an economy, you have to expand the people. And there's only one way to do that, and that's to have a bunch of kids, okay? But countries aren't doing that now. And we don't really need to do that anymore. People don't need to have 10 kids each, because the likelihood of all 10 kids surviving into old age is greater now than it has been in the past. This is true of a lot of countries, by the way. This isn't just true in the West. This is true in a lot of countries. So many people would like to have children, right? And they would like to pass on their knowledge to their kids and so forth. That's true. But the economic reality is that we've been trying to prop up a bunch of fake billionaires. And make no mistake, these are fake billionaires. These are not people like, dude, come on. And I've been over this a lot in the past. These are fake billionaires. These are paper billionaires. These are billionaires who claim they're billionaires, right? Oh, I bought this property, now it's worth, anybody could do that. Anybody could just buy a property and say, oh, it's now worth $10 billion. Any idiot can do that. That's how these people are doing this, okay? And they're printing money. And so that's why it's all fake. It's counterfeit. And as with all counterfeiting, eventually counterfeiting begets counterfeiting begets counterfeiting. That means that as it continues down, you get this competency crisis that boils over, which I've talked about at length. Like all of this stuff that I have covered in hundreds of videos, this is just where this is going. So how long can this go on for? It'll go on as long as people keep buying into it. As long as people keep relating the idea of wealth to dollars. The actual dollar, like the US dollar. As long as you keep measuring things with an inaccurate unit of measurement, and the dollar is not a unit of measurement, it's a con, it's a Ponzi scheme. It's not an accurate unit of measurement. It's not an accurate weight and measure. It's not. As long as people keep measuring wealth in a scam, right, and how many people they can scam and how many people they can enslave, through rent seeking and all kinds of clever gimmicks, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And so to say that, like, well, when is this big collapse going to happen? I would argue it already happened about 30 years ago. It definitely happened by about 2008. It already happened. Many people didn't realize the Roman Empire had collapsed for like hundreds of years. It had already collapsed. It was already gone. But people didn't realize it, right? This is the same thing. It's called, there was actually, Adam Beagle said it probably better than I could have said it. He used the term, competency inertia. Now, I've talked about inertia in the past, but yeah, putting that together, it's like, that's actually a good way of looking at that. Competency inertia is running out. This is where it's like, okay, you're running out of gas, and now you're starting to come up on Newton's third law. You're going to have to start leaving stuff behind, because if you want to maintain any kind of inertia, not to get all technical, but that's really kind of what it is. So, yeah, I would argue it's already collapsed. People just haven't figured it out. There hasn't been a race for the exits yet. Right now, there's a few people that have already gotten to the exits, and they managed to figure well, in other words, I don't want to say this. They reevaluate what wealth is. Wealth is your ability to be, at least for the most part, self-sufficient, or at least community sufficient, something like that. That's where your real wealth is going to end up coming from, in my view, going forward, because of this. Because this illusion of wealth printed from nothing is fading. And so we'll see what happens with the whole idea of trying to grab all these other countries to try and prop up a once great name, rather than make the name, rather than actually fix the infrastructure, the actual problems that are really here, which would start with, mass deportations for starters. And I do mean not this messing around nonsense, but actual mass deportations. As in, we're putting a bounty on all of you if you're not out of here in 30 days. And any American can just go collect it. That would be how you would do that first. And then getting rid of all this stuff and then letting the country actually heal properly. That would be how you would fix that. But I don't think that we're going to do that. So keep your seat backs and tray tables in the full upright position and keep your seat belts on. We'll see what happens.